He ate all of them? There was no guilt on Asmodeus' smiling face as he spoke such words. Several members of the Gourmet Association are strongly condemning Asmodeus. A small minority of the Gourmet Association are delighting in Asmodeus' brutality. The members of the Gourmet Association were worn out by the years, and they varied in tendencies and taste. At first glance, the first-generation stories seemed like the best, but there were some constellations, like the mass production maker, who preferred SSS-grade stories, while others liked unexpected developments, like now. The body of a constellation has a different physical quality. It isn't real, but this was why demon kings like Asmodeus were accepted in the Gourmet Association. Constellations, transcendents, or demon kings, the Gourmet Association was a place where stubborn children were more concentrated than any other group, but they respected all types of gourmet delights. I gulped as Asmodeus stepped into puddles of blood and slowly approached. The special effect of Yoren's sword will end. I might have used the Breaking the Sky Sword Saint's techniques, but it worked properly thanks to Yoren's sword. Without the sword, there would be no way to deal with the evil spirits. After half a dozen steps, Asmodeus licked his lips as he stared at me. I stated, "You didn't come here to eat me." How can you be so sure? "You can't get the giant story if you kill me." Asmodeus made a promise to me regarding the Demon King advancement, thus he couldn't kill me here. "I promised a 30% stake. Why are you in this place?" "There's no certainty that I will receive 30%. "Do you not have the confidence to compete with the other constellations?" Asmodeus' expression hardened at my provocative words. "Now you are provoking me." Asmodeus had a threatening air, but I didn't feel nervous. "If you really are a demon king, don't be a pushover. Compete properly to obtain your share." In the first place, it was apparent that Asmodeus had appeared here to help me. He might be Asmodeus, but the act of attacking fellow members of the Gourmet Association couldn't help being burdensome. Even so, he acted in such a manner while pretending to be a maniac. Asmodeus' complexion paled as he shouted, "Demon King of Salvation, you seem to be mistaken about something. I can eat you right now. Don't repeat the same words and get the fuck out." Asmodeus' eyes widened. I continued without stopping. "If you really want to eat me, kill me right now." The past me would have thought I was crazy if he saw this. This was Asmodeus, not someone else. Nevertheless, there was a reason I acted like this. The status of Asmodeus burned towards me. I got goosebumps from the formidable force, but believed in the story that I read more than my senses. At that time, we should have treated Asmodeus differently. The revised version of Ways of Survival. I had found such a sentence in the 49th Yu Junkyuk's record. Asmodeus loves beings who don't compromise. The more he faces such a being, the greater the desire to beat them. I don't know how Yu Junkyuk gained such insight, but if he was right, all of Asmodeus' actions were understandable. Your understanding of the character Asmodeus has increased. Then, a phenomena occurred. Your understanding of the character Asmodeus has increased. Your understanding of the character Asmodeus has increased. The explosive indirect messages occurred as I started to understand the inner surface of a demon king for the first time. Exclusive skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, Stage 2 has been activated. I want to eat. No. I want to eat. No. Ugh. A tremendous amount of thoughts rushed into my ears. It was appalling that so much greed could exist in one being. It's really amazing. Asmodeus moved like the wind as he held a handful of Iris's hair and took a slight breath. Good. Yes, this is enough for today. Still, keep this in mind, Demon King of Salvation. Next time won't be the same as today. I didn't listen to Asmodeus' words and ran towards the volcano. I couldn't miss this opportunity that I had barely gained. The lava could be seen right in front of me. Way of the wind caused the bracelet at my fingertips to fall down the cliff. The bracelet melted with a clear sound. The subscenario has ended. You have obtained 150,000 coins as compensation. Your awareness in the Gourmet Association has greatly increased. You have acquired a new story. I poured the Elaine Forest essence into the mouth of a completely exhausted Iris. Her physical condition was a mess, but recovery would be fast due to not consuming much probability. The first-person supporting role viewpoint has been released. There was the feeling of my environment being crushed as I returned to the banquet hall of the Gourmet Association. My senses returned, and the first thing I heard was the voice of an old man. Young man, I enjoyed it. I realized I had returned when I saw the mass production maker laughing heartily. I looked at him for a moment before slightly bowing my head. It's all thanks to you. What are you talking about? It is this. My hand was holding the 200,000 coins of garbage that Iris used just now. Yorin's sword. For reference, the grip of that sword had the following message engraved. Made by mass production maker. The mass production maker laughed. It was just business. Who knew that sword would be sold today? It was a recommended product in the Dokkaebi bag. How can a constellation know about the work of Dokkaebis? I didn't know if this was the consideration of the mass production maker or not. One thing was for certain. This sword had saved the lives of Iris and I. By the way, things have become a bit difficult. I looked around. The atmosphere around me was tense. Who is the Demon King of Salvation? The constellations were running wild as they looked for me with fiery anger. Among them were the constellations who had lost their bodies and returned from the scenario. The constellation Bresh Swamp Predator reveals hostility towards you. The constellation Tranquil Island Gourmet is glaring at you. Euphrosyne was standing dumbfounded on the stage while Anacroft was pale. Now, some of the constellations were watching me while wondering what I was going to do. The subscenario was over, but for them, this situation was an extension of the game. Of course, I wouldn't betray their expectations. You've gained the wish ticket according to the contract with the Incarnation Iris. You can make one wish within the category allowed by the Gourmet Association. It was within the category allowed by the Gourmet Association. The meaning of this was obvious. I naturally couldn't wish for the constellations to be killed. This is beyond the probability allowed by the wish. I couldn't wish for all the constellations to be on my side or to be their master. It was naturally a wish that wasn't possible. This is beyond the probability allowed by the wish. In other words, this wish was a type of diplomatic card. I had to identify the possible and impossible areas and find the best wish for me. Some members of the Gourmet Association are showing a strong hostility towards you. Many constellations are looking forward to your choice. Even the constellations in my channel were tense. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is looking forward to your choice. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is wriggling her fingers in a trance. In front of all of these eyes, I slowly opened my mouth. I wish that the Gourmet Association will show me courtesy. For a moment, a tremendous silence filled the hall. I didn't panic and looked around in the silence. The probability of the Gourmet Association is activated. Your wish has been received. Sparks filled the hall of the Gourmet Association. No, looking closer, they were thunderbolts, not sparks. Then a loud voice was heard. A really fun guy. Thursday's Thunder was holding a glass of beer while laughing. A story that was boring became worthwhile to see a bit. Why are you complaining about and persecuting this small constellation? Some of the constellations rebelled strongly against his words. But the rules, the scenario was just a scenario. In addition, that scenario has ended. That's all that my hammer and I know. Thor's hammer made a deafening sound like it wouldn't accept any arguments. Thor of the Asgard Nebula had one of the most powerful stories in this place. No one here wanted to resist his hammer. It is unpleasant to agree with this rough Thunder's words, but at this time, I feel the same. The person who spoke was the Morning Star Goddess. Star powder fell from her finely twisted hair as she moved. The scenario should end in the scenario. If you want to fight, fight in the scenario. I don't want to see the Gourmet Association becoming uglier. The two top-ranking constellations present stood up so the other constellations couldn't help wavering. Moreover, the wish ticket had already been activated. Some of the constellations were glaring at me, but they showed no signs of hurting me. The atmosphere calmed down, and the eyes of the morning star goddess turned to me. Still, I would like to ask one thing. It was an unexpected question, and I reflexively looked at her. Demon King of Salvation, why are you showing us such a scenario? The eyes of the goddess seemed to contain a galaxy. Now they show like she had found a new star. In my eyes, you have something to say. However, my eyes are dark, and I can't figure out the scenario you showed me. If you don't mind, I'd like to hear it from your mouth. She didn't say that the scenario I showed was crude, and this was probably due to her innate humility. I could see Persephone smiling at me from beside the morning star goddess. I told you to do things yourself, and this is the only way I could help you. All of the constellations at the Gourmet Association were looking at me. It was the situation I had been wanting since I came here. What should I say to gain favor with them? It would be stupid to think that they would help me if I just brought up the Demon King selection story. At that moment, Kim Dokcha thought for the first time about what he really wanted to say. It was too far away and not yet visible. However, for at least one person who walked on the path, it was clear. He failed thousands of times while feeling frustrated and desperate. There was someone who tried to take this road before me. I recalled the man who walked on the road that no one else walked on and laughed. Then I very naturally came up with some words. No. Perhaps this was the only thing I had to say.